Welcome to Drinks Coach UK. It's Joe Wadsack. Vinesack, Drinks Coach UK, all lowercase. Ask me anything you want about anything at all. Tomorrow, I think we've got a plan to do something a bit of fun. I think I'm doing vodka. Yes, there is a conversation to be had about that, and I thought it'd be quite a fun way to finish the week. But yeah, today I think this is going to be a popular show. I'd be amazed if it's not. Pinot Grigio. Who doesn't drink Pinot Grigio? Well, so there's people who don't drink Pinot Grigio, but it seems like it fuels the world. You know, they always said, oh, tea fueled the nation during the Second World War. Well, it's Pinot Grigio now. Okay, so what am I going to do? I thought what I'd do is talk about Pinot Grigio per se, because there's still people out there looking for their 2-for-1 deal, or their, oh, can we buy 2 bottles for a tenner? Well, if you're always going to search for the cheapest wine available, it doesn't matter if it's Pinot Grigio. It could be flipping anything. You're only interested in the alcohol. Why don't you just pour some alcohol in a bucket and put some weeds in it? If you're going to take your life a little bit more seriously, then I'm going to show you what I think is a really good, inexpensive Pinot Grigio, and one which is a bit better, to show you how much better it goes when you spend a bit more money, and also to talk about Pinot Grigio at large, because Pinot Grigio is also a great variety known as Pinot Gris, and Pinot Gris is made all over the world. In fact, there are places in the world where wineries sell a Pinot Grigio and a Pinot Gris. Well, what's that all about? Well, really, Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris kind of represent styles of wine. Italian Pinot Grigio, lemony, fresh, quaffable, crisp, no-brainer, didn't used to be made terribly well, huge volumes. That's Pinot Grigio. Pinot Gris was always more serious, more measured, because Pinot Gris comes from the Alsace, or in Germany, where it's also known as Grauburgunder or Ruhlander, and it's a great variety which they wouldn't normally release for the first couple of years, because Pinot Gris, as the name suggests, grey Pinot, isn't strictly a white variety. It's got a very pale pink skin, and you'll probably see Pinot Grigio blushes out there. Some of them actually have natural colour from the skin. It's all a bit strange, but people seem to love things that are in pink. Bubbles. It's kind of more like a red wine, Pinot Gris. If you leave it a bit longer, the tannins soften. You have wines that are very high in alcohol, and German and Alsatian examples can be quite majestic and can age for decades. But we're forgetting, and I've been criticised for this already on this channel. I'm not really giving the Southern Hemisphere as much credit as it deserves. But New Zealand is finally getting the hang of Pinot Gris. They planted a flipping load of it back in 2001, 2002. I visited in 2006 and went to what they call an aromatics conference, where we tasted wines which are supposed to be from the aromatic varieties. And Pinot Gris featured a lot. And as most European wine drinkers will tell you, it's not very aromatic. But if you get the older, more haunting Alsatian varieties, and you have a big plate of sausages and smoked ham and sauerkraut, or a big Flammkuchen covered in a little bit of chili, some double cream and some onions and some smoked speck, all those things are wonderful with a wine like this. This wine goes in parts which other white wines can't reach. If a red wine works, often a Pinot Gris works too. Particularly good with things like lobster, actually. Obviously red wine doesn't work with lobster. That was a really weird non sequitur. But things that are very rich sometimes work very well with rich drinks, and it's a fantastic combination. The rich, sweet protein of a grilled lobster thermidor and a glass of not too chilled Grand Cru Alsatian Pinot Gris. But I've got one here from a very exciting part of New Zealand. It's from Central Otago. We'll come back to that in a sec. So let's start off with this. Pinot Grigio, taste the difference, Sainsbury's. And this wine isn't from where most of the Pinot Gris is grown. Well, it's most Pinot Gris you'll see on the label, it'll say IGT Veneto on it, which is a huge region. But it's the finer parts of that. If you're going to get finest Pinot Grigio, you go a bit further north or a bit further northwest, and you're in the Südtirol, which is the German or the Tyrolean name for Alto Adige, or you go to Trentino, breathtakingly beautiful place. If you ever get the chance to take the train from Munich to Venice, which I think costs less than 50 quid, actually, one way. It's amazing. It's about a 7-hour train journey, or 6 hours. Yeah, 7 hours. You get to go through all these incredible vineyards, through the Brenner Pass, where eagles dare, all that stuff, right? So, oh dear, they knocked that over. Okay, so just checking the time. You see, some Pinot Grigio is designed to do the trick. Now, I know this wine over the year, the 2018, if it's still in your stores, this is 2019, the 2018 is still rather delicious, and it shows the pedigree of the wine that's inside. This comes from a cooperative in Trentino, and it's 12.5% alcohol. It's not crazy. I mean, you don't expect it to be, really. But I've found this wine brilliantly, consistently delicious. And when it's very, very young, it has a lip-smacking, thirst-quenching property, but it's actually still not that flavourful. There's a story which I don't have time to tell you now about a friend of mine who used to be a wine buyer for a supermarket, who asked why a woman in his store drank his Pinot Grigio, which he blended. She said, "Oh, it's easy because it tastes of absolutely nothing. And we don't like the same wines at home, so this one is the only one we all agree on." That's the short version anyway. So this wine tastes like fresh. Oh, it's one of the largest apple growing regions in the world, by the way. The whole part of North Italy. Pardon me. And yeah, that's delicious. I can't remember how much it is. It depends which one you're in. Sainsbury's local, which is kind of, then it's going to be £8. And if you go into the normal supermarkets, it's £7, I think. That's no money at all for actually a very, very good wine. And you can taste 30, 40 Pinot Grigios if you find one that's that good. So well done, Sainsbury's. Consistently delicious. Let's go on to something a bit more pimped, shall we? This is Alphazita Pinot Grigio Terrapieno. Terrapieno is a single vineyard. I imagine it's quite a big one. But this is made by some great skill. I thought there was an Italian winemaker involved, which is like kind of synonymous with good Italian wines, called Riccardo Cottarella. But more importantly, this was set up. I could be wrong. That could be total crap. But I do know a guy called Matt Thompson was involved. Matt Thompson is a New Zealand winemaker who kind of changed the world at a certain price point and making wines for all sorts of supermarkets and retailers around the world. And this is a single vineyard wine from a brand that he helped set up, Alphazita, A to Z, if you like. This wine is more £12, maybe £13, but you're chucking a fiver on top of the last one. But boy, do you go from, oh, that's pretty amazing for the money, to, oh, actually, that's just delicious anyway, at any price. So the wine has got more colour density. You can see that. So they're restricting the yields heavily. I imagine the first wine, they're probably getting about 10 tonnes of fruit to an acre. I think in that single vineyard, I imagine it's probably less than 6. But as a result, you get a super density of concentrating, almost like reducing a sauce on the stove. You just get more of everything. So yeah, Matt Thompson. Oh, yeah, it's good. That is good. 2019 as well. I think he worked at Cantina de Suave as well, making wines, very, very good quality Suaves. And he was famous for making world-class, award-winning New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs at a place called St. Clair. But I don't know what to say. That's as good as Pinot Grigio, quaffable Pinot Grigio, gets, around £12 or £13. And if that was £12 or £13 5 years ago, I would have found it good. That's a very, very nice wine. I imagine it's out there in a lot of independents. It's also a wine that's very, very popular on restaurant lists in London. So thank you, Liberty, for sending that in. Really terrific wine. Okay, so we're going to go on to the last one. We're a little bit short on time because I want to squeeze an extra wine in at the end. But this is Tucano Centratago Pinot Gris. And this is sold in Davies Wine Merchants in London. I think you can buy them online as well. 0207 716 3362 if you want to phone it in. No, that's Catch the Press Officer's number. She'll be loving me for saying that. So this is from Centratago, Southern Ireland, as far south as wine making goes in the world. The next thing you see going south is the Antarctica, or the King Henry Glacier, or the Prince, or whatever it's called. Don't know the name of the glacier, but it's just a big piece of ice. So this is called Tucano. I don't know what Tucano means. This is 14% alcohol. This wine is from the vintage 2018, so it's a year older. I put it in a glass like this because if I drank an Alsace Pinot Gris, I'd put it in a glass like this. Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, blah, blah, blah. It needs a red wine's glass. You see, that wine smells of apricots. There's almost, and this comes up a lot in tasting notes, so don't knock it until you've tried it, a crispy, smoky bacon note, which I think is incredible. I've garnished cocktails with smoky bacon. What's better than smoky bacon? I mean, crack? I don't know. Absolutely delicious. Wow. 14%. Now, Central Otago is a very fashionable, very cool area. If anyone's ever been to Queenstown and jumped off bridges or ironed up the side of a mountain, extreme anything, Queenstown's your city. About a 40-minute drive inland. In the smoking sunshine, you get to Central Otago. And that wine's £20. You don't get much change out of anything in Central Otago for £20, and that is supreme single vineyard, age-worthy Pinot Gris. And the reason why I put it there is to show that New Zealanders are now making wines the same way the Alsatians are. They're holding it back a bit, and there's a good reason to drink them. So, very, very quickly, a little also-ran, little mini mention. I tasted loads of Pinot Gris for this piece, and there's one that I've wanted to squeeze in because it's just absurd value. This is also from New Zealand. It's from Gisborne, which is in the North Island, but the warm East Coast, and it's called Freeman's Bay Gisborne Winemakers Reserve Pinot Gris. Got it? $5.99. $5.99 from New Zealand, right? Wine box wine that doesn't taste very nice cost £8 a bottle. Aldi, $5.99. Wonderful. See you tomorrow to get pissed on vodka. WhatsApp out.